We tend to think the moments that matter most are the ones we plan, the ones we schedule, prepare for, justify. But that's usually not what people remember. What people remember are the moments that almost didn't happen, the ones we hesitated on, questioned, nearly talked ourselves out of. And then for whatever reason, we did them anyway. Because those moments don't come from certainty. They come from choosing to act before hesitation has enough time to disguise itself as logic. And I've been thinking a lot about that lately. Because sometimes the moment that stays with you forever isn't the one you carefully planned, it's the one you almost missed. And I want to talk about that because lately it has impacted me and I almost let the moment slip by. A couple of months ago, my daughter mentioned that she wanted to update her room. Here's the thing, I had already updated her room a little over a year ago. So instead of shutting down the idea completely, I took what felt like a more thoughtful route. I told her to send me images, ideas, inspirations, anything she had in mind. And in my head, this felt like good parenting. I thought maybe it would keep her motivated. Maybe if she stayed consistent, kept her room tidy, showed me she was serious, then maybe later it could happen. So for the next couple of months, she sent me Pinterest images, and they were beautiful. Same general style and feel, same color palette, just slightly different versions of that same idea. She knew what she wanted. And to me, that was impressive. She had a cohesive thought of what she wanted. But every time she brought it up, I had a reason ready. Not a hard no, rather a diplomatic approach, a negotiation of sorts. The kind of response that sounds practical, responsible, even loving on the surface. If you keep your room clean, if you stay organized, if you can maintain what you already have. But here's the uncomfortable part. Those reasons weren't really for her. They were for me. Because the truth was, I didn't feel like this was something I needed to do right now. It didn't feel necessary. It wasn't in the budget I had created, and I just couldn't justify it. And instead of just saying that, I kept moving the conditions around. And I think a lot of us do that. We don't always deny something directly. Sometimes we just place enough conditions around it that it never gets to move. And that's where this started to affect me. Because I don't think I was putting conditions on my love for my daughter. But I do think I was putting conditions on how freely that love could move. And those are not the same thing. Love can absolutely be present and get filtered. Filtered through practicality, timing, budgets, logic, through adult reasoning. And to us, that can sound completely fair. But that doesn't mean it feels fair to the person on the other side of it. And maybe that's where this got harder. Because as a parent, I understood my reasoning. She's in middle school. She might completely change her mind in another year. We already did this once. Why rush into doing it again? And all of that made sense to me. But then something so slight happened. And if you've been listening to this channel, you know that it's those seemingly trifling moments that cause the big shifts. So there I was on a Thursday after work, wandering through a thrift store, not looking for anything in particular. And then I saw it. One green velvet panel, the exact shade from all of the images my daughter had been sending me. And it was cheap, less than a small coffee. That should not have been a revelation moment, but it was. Because the second I saw it, something in me moved. And what washed over me wasn't just excitement, it was a memory. I suddenly remembered what it felt like to be a child, asking my parents for something, and what it feels like to not feel seen. Not because they didn't love me, not because they were cruel, but because there were always other priorities, other practicalities, other things that mattered more as they saw it. As a parent, I understand that now. As a child, I didn't. And then I had this thought: if I didn't understand it, how could my daughter? So I put the green velvet drape in the cart. And somehow that tiny choice became the green light, not just for the room, but for me. I kept looking, found more pieces, checked out with a cart full of items, and a sudden burst of motivation. And over the next 3 days, I worked on that room. And I remember standing there once it was done, feeling two things at once: excited and nervous. Because even then, there was still uncertainty. It didn't match her inspiration photos exactly. I mean, I did it on a budget after all. Some of what I used was from pieces she denied before. So I wasn't sure of the outcome. I mean, I liked it, but did I get it right? Would she feel seen in it? Would she love it? Or would this only mean something to me? And I think that feeling matters too, because even when we finally do the thing, there's still risk. That doesn't necessarily disappear. And the unnerving part is that sometimes hesitation doesn't end when you make the move. Sometimes it just changes shape. Then she came home from her dad's, walked to her bedroom door, opened it, and froze, completely still. Then came this audible gasp, and she was speechless. And in that moment, something happened that I still don't fully know how to explain, because I didn't just see her as she is now. For a second, I saw her as this little 3-year-old again, just lit up. And what hit me in that moment wasn't pride, it wasn't even relief. It was something much, much deeper than that. Something that felt like joy and ache at the exact same time. Because it wasn't just that she loved the room, it was that for 1 second, time collapsed. The little girl she had been and the person she's already becoming were both standing there at once. And I think that's what overwhelmed me, because parenting can feel like that. Something is still right in front of you, still yours, still here. And yet you can feel how quickly they are moving through each version of themselves, not disappearing, just evolving. Maybe that's part of what made this hesitation sting a little, because once I saw it completely, the after effect, I also saw the thing that almost didn't happen. The moment I might have delayed too long, the window I might have missed because I was too committed to being practical. And I don't think this is only about parenting. I think this is about life. Because how many meaningful moments get stuck behind logic that sound responsible? How many things do we delay not because they're wrong, but because we can't make them make enough sense yet? How many memories never happened because hesitation got there first? So I looked it up. And there's actually a reason these almost didn't happen moments hit so hard. Behavioral scientists refer to it as something called the near miss effect. When something feels close to being missed, skipped, or lost, the brain tends to register it differently. In other words, these moments stay with us because they almost didn't happen. And the brain notices that. It notices when something felt close to being missed. That gives these moments more charge, more weight, more significance. And when surprise gets added on top of that, it sticks even more to our memories. And that's why sometimes a small, unexpected moment stays with us for years, while something beautiful and well planned doesn't always land as deeply. Think about your own life for a second. What's one memory you still carry that almost didn't happen? A conversation you almost didn't have? A text you almost deleted? A drive you almost didn't take? A last minute yes that changed something? Sometimes the reason a memory stands out is because it was fragile, because it could have gone the other way. So don't ask yourself, what do I remember? Ask yourself, what am I sitting on right now that could actually turn into one of those moments? What am I overthinking or under considering? What small move could I do before I talk myself out of it? Something small enough you allow yourself to act on. Because sometimes a $3 drape is all it takes to turn a moment from almost never into forever. And maybe that's the thing worth holding on to. Here's your sip of the day. The memories that stay are often just love outrunning hesitation by a single step. If this brought a memory back to you, sit with it. And if it made you think about something you've been putting off, maybe this is your nudge to stop waiting for the perfect reason, to stop needing the moment to fully justify itself before you let it happen. Because some things matter not because they were practical, but because they're felt. And if you want to keep going with me, the next episode is going to take this one step further. We'll dive deeper into when practicality becomes a cover and how easy it is to call something timing when it might actually be resistance. If Caffeine and Clarity has been a place where you're able to slow down and notice what's underneath, you're always welcome to stay connected by subscribing to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. And if you'd like to support me, feel free to buy me a coffee or buy yourself something from the shop. The links are below. Thanks for being here. This is Caffeine and Clarity.